How's everyone doing? This is Clifton Raheem Bradley of the Underground Railroad television show. And today we're going to do a show that is related to Islam. And what I am doing is getting everything together. But looks like I'm going to get up here, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something that I did with Brother Tyron Perry, who is a real good brother. And you know what? I'm very appreciative of him. And what I'm going to do is, this is Ramadan, and hi to all of the Muslims in the United States, Canada, Asia, Africa, Europe, Australia, and the UK, Alaska, and Australia. Okay, so I'm going to play this with no further ado.
Subhanallah, we thank you, Allah, we praise you, Allah, for the books you have sent, Allah. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. Bam. Greet you in the words of Assalamu alaikum. My name is Clifton Raheem Bradley, host of the Underground Railroad television show. We come on every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m., not a.m. And you can catch us on YouTube. Damn it, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm shaking my head like I'm doing something. I ain't doing nothing. But you know what? I got today Islam. We're going to talk about Islam because as a Muslim, that is my duty. That is my duty to propagate Islam and make Islam the greatest religion, which it already is, with or without me. And I got Brother Tyron Perry of the Flaming Crescent Society, and the leader is Brother Salim. And Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
All right. And you know what? Please make an introduction of yourself, please, brother.
I'm Minister Tyron Perry of the Flaming Crescent Society, and I'm just a proud Muslim trying to get myself into paradise, you know, to help that black community out as much as I can, and particularly with the youth, you know. That's who I really particularly want to try to influence and get them on the right path, you know.
You got anything to say about the Flaming Crescent Society, man?
Flaming Crescent.
Brother Salim, I'm gonna give him my salam.
But Brother Salim, he the founder of Flaming Crescent Society, a mentor of mine. Him and Minister Ben Willis, they're my two big brothers. I look up to them, you know. And we go out to the community and, you know, give dawah to the people. And the Flaming Crescent Society is just not for Muslims. It's a Muslim organization. But we cater to, go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask you something. You know what, man? There's a virus going on, but I want to ask you something. You don't have to comment if you don't want to. You know what's funny to me? People used to say that Muslim women were oppressed because they're covered up. They got the niqab on. But you know what's funny to me? They wind the niqab now by putting their mask on during the virus. Why are they being oppressed? It's funny to me.
It's like the same thing, right? Even though the women in Islam are not forced to do nothing like that, you know, that's only they do that on their own free will. You don't have to do that if you don't want. But with this virus, they making it a mandate.
Yeah. So you know what? You thought it was funny about an Islamic woman covering up some of y'all with the niqab. But you know what? Look, I'm doing the same thing. But you know what? It ain't about us. It's about Allah's permission. I want to ask you something, brother. Then I'm going to play a video and I want you to comment on. I want to ask you, brother,
Yes, sir.
about Joe Biden. What did you think about Joe Biden pulling the troops out of Afghanistan and letting more Muslims come into the country, which the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said we be separated among sects, but at some point we will be a ummah. But let me shut my mouth to get your perspective. For me, it's a clap for Joe Biden, but it ain't about what I'm here to interview you.
Right. Well, I ain't gonna clap for Joe Biden too quick, but him taking the troops out of Afghanistan, and that was that's a good move right there. You know, and giving sanctuary to them here, I'm good with that, but I'm cautious, you know, because they coming from another country, they could look sideways to the American people, like, you know, yeah, y'all letting us come over here now, but y'all been at war killing our people for over 20 years, you know.
You know how it's going in anyway.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say how it's going in, but
and see that, like him, I applaud him for pulling the troops out, but letting them come over here, even though they Muslim, and I want to see what's best for them, you know. But like you giving them asylum over here, and there's a lot of people. There's people here already in this country that's going through some stuff, and you giving them this free money, and it's people that already been here that you overlook.
Well, I have to follow up with a question. So, are you saying that is it justified to give sanctuary money to people that come in from Mexico and Central America from the other side of the hemisphere?
No.
And just say, forget the Muslims. I'm asking.
No.
I'm asking.
It's if you're gonna do it, you got to be fair with everybody, you know. And when I mean fair, you got to be fair with the people that's already here. Not no immigrants or anything like that. You got people that's American citizens that's suffering. What about them? It's like they take precedent over the people that's already here that's suffering.
So the Muslims should not get it. I'm asking.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying be fair about what you do.
Okay. And
President Biden.
You know what? We're going to talk about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a video there about him foretelling what is going to go on in the signs of Yama Kiyama, which means the day of judgment, in the dunya, which means earth. And I'm going to have Brother Tyrone give us his expertise and his wisdom. Okay, but there's a video. And half of it is going to be played, and then the other half will be played later on. So if you could play that half of it, and I want you to see it because I sent it to you. And you know it was strange. See what I mean, brother? Oh, do later.
They had to stop recording the video, but continue talking.
Okay, so you know what, like I say, that, you know what, it's strange, you know, like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made very predictions, and it's coming, you know, it's true.
And let the people know, like, you know, what he said, it wasn't from his own thing, you know, this was from Allah that let him, you know, gave this to him, these instructions. So anything that he prophesied or told about the come, that was from Allah.
Yes.
Because he's the all-knowing, you know.
Okay, and you know what? One prediction that he made, not prediction, what he said, is that one of the signs is that men will start acting like women, and women will start acting like men, and men will start resembling women, and men, and vice versa. Do you find that to be true?
Oh yes, and this been in the fort for years. Like, we just starting to see a lot of it now, but this has been happening years ago, you know. And with the foods that we eat, it like young girls getting in a menstrual cycle earlier than, like, when I was coming up, the young ladies got on their period when they was 12 years old, like that's 12, 13, the teenage. Now you getting the young girls, they starting their periods at 8, 9 years old.
The menstrues.
Now you got to ask yourself, what changed for them to start having a menstrual cycle so early? You know, so you got to think about the foods that they eat, the chemicals that's put in these foods.
Let me see if is that video ready back there, Elma?
No.
Okay.
Continue talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, again, women that are childbearing age, they would negate the joy of having a child for later ages because of the opportunities that exist in the dunya on this earth. Do you find that to be true, and why?
Oh yeah, definitely that's true. And I give that credit to the feminist movement. See, in my opinion, the feminist movement told particularly the African American females that, you know, you don't need no man. You could do all this stuff on your own. So they was providing better education. Well, they wasn't providing it. Women was getting better education and getting better jobs than men. And they was like, you don't need no man. You don't need no man to provide for you. You could do all this stuff on your own. So they pretty much blocked the man out and like, I don't need no man. Well, how you gonna have a child if you don't have a man? So you done got in love with this material stuff in this world.
Yeah.
So you were like, I knew some women, they were selfish to the point where like, I don't want to have no kids because the money that I got to have fun and do stuff with, I have to use it for them. Women used to say stuff like that, you know, not to have children. You know?
You know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that we would start, you know, with men in Islam, they would start building mosques. Not specifically for the religion, to show off how grand it is and how much money their community has out of pride and boasting. But do you find that to be true, what Prophet Muhammad said?
Oh, yeah. It's funny you brought that one up because a brother of mine, he was like, a Muslim brother, he was like, shoot, the masjid is starting to be like the church on Sunday, you know. You done left the true reason of this deen. You done let the world change your way of thinking about what this is all about. You know, you want to be, like you said, building a bigger mosque than anybody. I want to have the biggest mosque than this person right here. You know, that's where your ego come into this. You know, so more you doing stuff like that, the farther and farther you getting away from the deen, because that ain't what you don't build a mosque so big and say, oh, I got the biggest masjid. What you doing to help the people?
In the end times, people will dance late into the night. Muslim men will resemble unbelieving men. Muslims will slowly, but deeply, appropriate the traditions and ways of the Christians. Believers turn into unbelievers and will sell their religion for non-essential things of this world. Women who will be dressed, yet will appear to be naked. They will seduce men and will be inclined towards them. With something on their heads that looks like the humps of camels, leaning to one side.
Clothed but unclothed. You know, some of the swimwear, if you look at, or some of the gym wear, if you look at, like who are you? It's not clothing. Kasiyatun ariyat, clothed but naked. Or if you look a more moderate tafsir, if you like, clothing will be very tight, or it will be see-through, or there will be cuts and slits around the sides and so on and so forth, so that although it pretends it doesn't show, it shows. And the Prophet said, alayhi afdalu salatu wa atammu taslim, that they will not smell the fragrance of Jannah, although the smell of Jannah can come from so far, yet these people will be made forbidden for them is that smell, that fragrance of Jannah.
People will walk in the marketplace with their thighs exposed. This sign is very obvious, especially in Western countries. Keep in mind, these events are very recent. Just 100 years ago, even in these countries, the women wore modest clothes. The Prophet said, "Most certainly people from my nation will consume liquor, which they will describe with some other name." This is a prediction and a reference to the different brands of alcohol that are available today.
Liquor stores are strewn throughout the city of Amman. By law, bars and liquor stores must be owned and run by Christians. No Muslims allowed. However, Muslims are perfectly free to patronize them, and they do.
Our customers are both Christians and Muslims. We don't really have problems here.
There will be many women of childbearing age who will no longer give birth.
Women continue to delay having children, according to new data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The average age for first-time mothers increased from 24 in 2000 to 26 in 2014.
The Prophet said these women will enter the workforce out of love for this world. And this is why they will delay having children.
Researchers believe the trend of waiting to have children will continue as more women focus on career before starting a family and as they pursue fertility options like egg freezing.
In the end times, there will be snubbing and standoffishness among people. There will be an abundance of food, much of which has no blessing in it. This is clearly a reference to fast food, which has absolutely no nutritional value. Wealth will increase so much so that if a man were given 10,000, he would not be content with it. But the wealth will be shared out only among the rich, with no benefit to the poor. The rich will get richer and richer. Today, the top 1% wealthy people have half of all the wealth in the world. Western corporations are plundering developing countries. The decoration of mosques will be a matter of pride and competition.
Yes.
You know, it's all this money you spending to build this gigantic masjid. You could be helping the poor people, the homeless people, you know.
You know, I'm a little deterred, man. And then you know what? But you know what? About that video, because you know what? But you know what? No, but Allah knows.
Who's best, Noah?
What's best. And you know, I find it like when I do shows on Islam, and I'm talking about something trying to propagate. I believe that there's an enemy, and the enemy is always the shaitan.
Yes.
Working to disturb something, and the devil is using somebody else as agents. Maybe before we came in here, after. But you know what? But they can't stop the will of Allah.
No.
So, you know, and you know what? We're going to go ahead and do it like this then, okay? Because you know what? The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that women will appear to look fashionable. Dressing showing their legs and thighs and breasts. Okay, and almost be naked. And that is a sign. Well, do you agree with that? And is that going on?
Oh, yes, sir. You know, that was one of our deep that women will be dressed but appear to be naked.
Yes.
You know, they will have clothes on but will look naked. And what you see, half-dressed women, these videos, particularly these rap videos, just a top and a small bottom on, like your underwear. Basically, you wearing underwear out in public. Underwear was something that you you wore under your clothes, right? That's why it was
Yes.
called underwear.
It was a time where a woman wouldn't even want to put her bloomers
Right.
on the clothesline before they had dryers. But go ahead.
Now underwear is becoming outerwear. That's what done happened. So you think you got your clothes on, but you're naked. Because see, at one point in time, you wouldn't come outside with your underwear.
Yeah.
Your underwear was always meant to stay inside for no one to see. You didn't want nobody to see you in your underwear.
You know what's fun? You know what's always been funny to me? Women walking with them little heels, man, and you know what? And they could barely walk. And you know what? I asked my cousin once. I said, "Why you got that?" She said, "I'm a woman." He said, "It looks sexy." I didn't understand. You got a shoe with a heel like this, and you could barely walk and need me to hold you up.
One thing,
It's funny to me.
What you just said. She said it looks sexy. Looks sexy to who? Like who you trying to please with this? Like you said it looks sexy. Okay, you trying to draw a man or something like that? Did he tell you it looks sexy? Because if he didn't tell you it looks sexy, what makes you think it looks sexy? Because you see, if you're trying to what? Impress another female or something like that, or you trying to impress a man or something like that? Now that man got to tell you, oh, that looks sexy, for you to be like, okay, I'm gonna wear this for him.
I'd like to ask you a question. This is dealing with marriage. Marriage is half of your deen in Islam. And can you explain what deen is and why is it important in Islam to be married?
The deen is the way, basically the way of life, the way a Muslim should conduct itself in his society. Marriage is if you want to start a family, marriage, having kids out of wedlock, and I done seen this, and it is an exception to every rule, but me growing up, I had my mother and father in the house with me all my life. I never knew nothing else. No other man, no other woman, but my mother and my father. Now, some of the people I grew up with who didn't have both parents in their house, I seen how their life was. You know, how they treated other people, particularly females. Because most of them, they grew up without a father. So a lot of them, very disrespectful to females, you know. So the marriage is the beginning of family, you know. You want a strong family, you got to have man and woman.
I would like that. Oh, go ahead.
In a marriage, you know.
I would like to ask you, so many non-believers, I'm sure you got some Muslims too, believe that it is okay to live with a man and engage in sexual intercourse with a man, and they are not married, and they really believe that that man loves them and respects them, and he uses them as a sexual tool. Why would a woman have that type of mindset to let a man go inside of them and they're not even married to him? Why?
That's
And let me ask you, and does that go against the teaching in the Bible? Does it go against the teaching in the Quran and the Torah and the Injil? Does it?
Abundance of police squads and oppressive officials who wield whips the size of the tails of cattle. Men will begin to look like women, and women will begin to look like men.
And there are many signs that should be troubling to people. The Prophet predicted same-sex marriage. I mean, that's a sound hadith. He said the end of time will not come until a man marries a man and a woman marries a woman.
Sports today, Ireland became the first country in the world to pass a constitutional referendum allowing same-sex marriage.
This is the moment same-sex supporters...
And we have no evidence in human history that that was ever... We have no evidence that any culture has ever sanctioned same-sex marriage. But he said it will be one of the signs of the end of time. He said you will see nikah al-rajul al-rajul, wa nikah al-mar'ati al-mar'a. And nikah here means clearly marriage because homosexuality existed, so he wasn't talking about homosexuality or musahaqa. He was talking about marriage. You know, he predicted that the buildings of Mecca would surpass the mountains. Who could have thought of that in the 7th century of Arabia? Who could have thought of that? He predicted that people would go out of their houses with things on their thighs that would tell them what was happening back in their families. He said that people would talk to shiraku na'alihi, which in Arabic, shiraku na'al is this. That is what a shiraku na'ali, which is the universal sign today for telephone. And he said a man will talk to his shiraku na'al. You know, that's how people say it, right? The Arabs call that shiraku na'al. The Prophet ﷺ predicted many, many things that have come true. That in the 7th century in Arabia, it just would not have been possible to predict those things, or they wouldn't even occur to people.
The Prophet said, children born outside of marriage will become commonplace.
In Colombia, more than 8 out of every 10 children are born to unwed mothers.
But the actual percent of U.S. births to unmarried women has gone up a lot. 2002, 34% of all births. 2013, 40.6% of all births in the U.S.
In 1960, 5% of children entered the world without a mother and father married to each other. By 1980, it was 18%. By 2000, it had risen to 33%, and 15 years later, the number reached 41%.
The Prophet said, in the end times, obesity would become prevalent.
Well, the explosion of overweight and obese people in the developing world is largely down to the emerging economies, those that have gone through a transition from being low-income economies to middle-income economies in the last generation. And that has produced a large middle class of people who have rising incomes and they can buy the foods they want, and they're undertaking more sedentary lifestyles.
Smog will appear over cities because of the evil that they are doing.
India's second largest city, New Delhi, remains shrouded in dangerously thick smog.
Problem affecting a huge swathe of northern China at the moment, with a pollution cloud hanging over this country from the Russian border in the far northeast all the way down to the central cities.
The Prophet said, great distances will be traversed in short spans of time. And voices will be raised in mosques. Rain will be acidic or burning.
Acid rain is any form of precipitation with high levels of nitric and sulfuric acids. It can occur in the form of snow, fog, and even dry materials that settle to earth. Most acid rain is caused by human activities.
That there will be dishes and they will be communicating constantly, and then people will break the ties of kingship. The word for dishes is literally a dish, and the word that's used now is the word for satellites, and they're dishes and they communicate. Academic journal that says there is a correlation between people sitting at home watching satellite TV and not having communal family ties anymore.
These signs leave absolutely no doubt about the prophethood of Muhammad. May the blessings of Allah be upon him. It's impossible somebody could predict all these signs 1400 years ago, except a prophet of God. These hadith were recorded thousands of years ago, in manuscripts that have been carbon dated back thousands of years by scientists. So nobody can even claim that these signs were made up to fit current events. What these signs also prove is that there is absolutely no doubt left that we are living in the end times. All the minor signs that have been...
Yeah, well, a lot of women, I believe, like that, it's deal with low self-esteem, you know. And some women, they just, I guess they just like, hey, with that legal paper thing, you know, I ain't go with it, because, you know, in Islam, and particularly in this country, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be married like.
You don't go downtown. I know.
You're right. You don't have to get no marriage license or nothing like that. We get married like Allah said. You know, it don't have to be through the court systems like.
Oh, you don't want the kuffar. You don't want the kuffar involved.
You know,
if you can't help, you don't want the kuffar, the non-believer, involved any more than they have to be.
And a lot of people, they don't want to get the system to be, you know what I'm saying, that could dictate. Because divorces can be nasty, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I done seen some of them too. But with child support and things like that, and you know, people like, some women was like, well, I'd rather just live like this instead of the go.
Well, but they say it's okay to be the girlfriend and for the man to have a wife, but it ain't okay for Islamic brother to have more than one wife if he can afford it.
Right. See, that's
polygamy.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, and see what's wrong? Like you said, what's wrong with that?
No.
You know, and it's a scarcity of men around here, so they doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's why, you know what, I listen to the silly woman saying that there's a man for every woman. There is not. Numerically, there is not a man for every woman. There are more women in the dunya, on the planet,
I think
than men. But it's so, you know what, it's so funny to me to say there's a man for every woman. That's funny to me,
right.
But go ahead.
See, all right, well, first of all, that ain't none. There's not a man for every woman. Mm-hmm. You got to look at it like this. Okay, if I was a woman looking at it, okay, I want a man. Okay, there's a shortage of men, but I just don't want any old man. I want a quality man. So then you got to look at things, particularly with black people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You got 5 minutes. Oh my God.
All right. But anyway,
I'm gonna tell you, you know what? I'm gonna say something. You know what? Inshallah, I'm gonna have you back. Inshallah, next Monday, if it's the will of Allah, because I'm very disappointed that the tape was not played. Mm-hmm. I'm disappointed. But go ahead, brother. We got 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got the mass incarceration situation with black men, so a lot of them, you know, locked up. So that's taking away the pool. That's one thing, taking away the men from black women. Then you got homosexuality, you know.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's bringing the pool down.
Yeah.
Now you want a quality man making that big money, like that quality man might want one and one woman.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to share?
Yeah. I want you to know something, man. You know, I'm gonna put this on YouTube, but you know what? This is incomplete because you know what? I did not structure it this way. But you know what? We plan, but Allah plans. Right. Allah is the best planner because, like I said, we're in the United States.
Yep.
And there are enemies that hate Islam bitterly.
Oh yeah. That's like I was telling you, what Brother Salim said. He always say, he was like, Islam is the religion that the United States fears the most.
Ain't no question.
Because it affects a lot of things that the United States like, money-wise, you know. Mm-hmm. United States make a lot of money off alcohol, mm-hmm. you know. Alcohol is forbidden in Islam, so, you know.
Yeah.
Like you always talking Sharia law, you know.
Oh, ain't no question.
They don't want to see Sharia law.
That bring true justice, brother.
You know, and that'll bring true justice. And to them, they got to be accountable now.
No, because you know what, they want to drink, they want alcohol, they want to be able to live with somebody in sin.
Yeah, but besides that, look at the things you done did to human beings.
Yeah.
Now, see, you're going to have to be accountable for that.
Oh, ain't no question.
You know?
Ain't no question. Brother Tyrone, you know what? We run a long time. Please, you know what? Inshallah, I'm going to have you back next month. Please tell us, how did they go to your Facebook, your YouTube, and all that? Tell us, man.
I don't really be on YouTube like that, my page. I got a page, but I don't be using it. But you can follow me at Tyron Perry on Facebook and on Twitter, Andres, ANDREZ 328. That's my Twitter handle right there, you know. And
and you know, I do, you know what I do, again, I apologize
no
because
problem.
this is not the way that I structured this interview, and I did a lot of work. And but
I know how you get
but
down.
But you know what? But okay, But we got 5 minutes. But you know something? You plan. What's the hadith? You plan.
They plan, they're playing, and Allah is the best of planners.
Mm-hmm. And you know, what mosque do you go to, brother?
I don't really go to no, cause I be working a lot. So, but I be listening online, and it's these brothers out in New York. I be listening to.
Who are they?
Masjid. Is Imam Siraj Wahaj.
Oh, it's a good brother, yeah.
And I listen to the Khutbah every Friday.
Oh, praise to Allah.
And then these brothers too, these other brothers, and like it's a mosque, like you said, out here in Chicago. That I be like, cause I work on Fridays, and you know I gotta get this.
You gotta get the money. I remember the time I couldn't go to Jumu'ahs because I had to work. Jumu'ahs is like going to church for the Christians on a Sunday, but we go on Fridays.
What I do while I'm at work, I get my phone out and you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. But you know, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You got a job. But I want to say, you know what? You got any finishing comments, brother?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, y'all, man. The Underground Railroad is what's happening, man. Brother Clifton Raheem Bradley, he, like you said, he put in his hard work, you know, and I be checking you out on YouTube all the time, man, you know, and I love your work. I'm just here to help. That's it. Anybody needs, I'm here to help. That's my journey on this earth.
You know what some fool said to me? They said, "Man, do you got the best show on television?" I said, "Brother, I got what Allah wants me to have." Damn it, your hand's shaking. You shaking me on the back and patting me on the back and telling me good. That's good, but I'm trying to please Allah.
Yeah.
Because you telling me all that. If Allah ain't pleased, all this stuff on earth ain't gonna make no difference anyway.
Right. We gonna lead this place the same way we came.
So you know you got people with big egos, man. That man, they love me and all that, brother. That don't mean nothing if Allah don't love you.
Yep. We all going in the box the same way, no matter how much money you got while you're here.
See. I laugh. I laugh in my head when they say my show is so great. I just laugh because you know what? Fox Television and CNN ain't beating down their door. I laugh.
Right.
I laugh about it. You know, but you know what? I'm trying to do what's pleasing to Allah. I'm doing this for selfish reason. I'm doing this to get half of that.
Yeah.
I'm doing this to get good deeds.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Maybe the sister take a picture of us. And you know what? I want to let y'all know I'm doing this show, and he doing this show to get good deeds. Damn the pat on the back. It's a good show. We trying to do what's pleasing to Allah. Because all your clapping and all your cheering, you know what? On the day of Yom Kippur, that ain't going to make no difference anyway. And let me send a message out there to the true spirit. And that's something we doing. Read our Qurans more and more and more and more. That's something that we should always do. Pray more. Seek refuge in Allah. And there are misconceptions about Islam, and I'm have somebody to come on that can explain it much better than me. This is a tape with Brother Salim. And at the beginning, I want to tell you, we do a little fumbling and mumbling because you know what? There was a technical problem. So what you're going to hear is you're going to hear it off YouTube. And especially, you know, for the Muslims in Saudi Arabia right now, going to the Hajj. All praises to the Allah. You know, maybe one day I will be able to go to the Hajj, to go to Mecca, to, you know, it's my obligation if I can afford it. Out of Umrah. I'm not just saying, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a tape, a video of Brother Salim, and I will take telephone calls, you know, and I encourage you to visit my website. Okay? I'm going to bring it in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it. What is Ramadan? We have a scholar, an expert that is coming on, Brother Salim Khaled, and he's going to explain what is Ramadan. What is it? You know, there's people wondering, what are these people doing? You know, there's so many Muslims around. There's so many Muslims just around the globe, and you know what? They're wondering. You know what? The people are just wondering, what is Islam? What is that all about? And what is Ramadan? Like I said, I'm waiting on my guests to come to explain it. And you know what? I know for some people it seems strange, very, very strange. Seeing all these, what are all these Muslims doing? What are all these people doing that follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What are they doing? But you know what? I notice it's a brother I work with. It's a sister that I work with. I noticed they're not eating. They're not eating. And you know what? I asked them if they wanted to drink the water. They said, no, we don't want to drink. We don't want to drink the water. We don't want any. You know, we don't want that. And just very interesting. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to send the link to Dr. Brother Colin again. Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, how you doing, bro? Oh, okay. Hello? Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Hello? This is my guest, and you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to send him to the link again. And I am sorry about the people that are watching this. I am very sorry because you know what, y'all know I like to love to be on time for the people that have been watching, and things happen. And what I'm going to do is I'm not. And I'm going to get in right now. And
then the soul leaves the body. And this then, when the soul is leaving the body, is what we describe as being al-maut, or being death. And the soul enters into alim al-arwah, into the world of the souls, which is what we would call a more metaphysical world. It is a different plane of existence than the existence that we are living in this world. And actually, it is the soul that is what we really are. Because the body being made up of materials and being that encasement that the soul is living in the Hayat dunya, is only a temporary place. The soul came before us and then was put into the body, and then when death comes, the body goes back into the earth and the soul continues on. So the actual human being is not what you see, the physical flesh. And this is very important for us, especially when racism is so powerful today, when people tend to judge each other by their height or their hair texture,
I don't know what, because I
by
just sent
superficial
you the link.
parts of their body.
I just sent it
That's
to you
not
a
the
couple
real human
minutes
being.
ago.
The real human being is
Bam. Preaching the words of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon you. I understand it. Peace be upon them both. For they were
Maybe somebody don't know this broadcast. I don't know.
with my co-host, Brother Harold Davis of WGBX 1570 AM. And first I want to say something about Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to people, brothers out there that are striving in the name of Islam. That in Ramadan, you're not eating in the morning time, you're not eating any food, no candy, no drinks, you're sacrificing for the name of Allah, even against your own hunger. And hi to the brothers at Masjid El Farouk, where I go at 8950 South Stony Island. Masjid Tawheed, Masjid Fateh on 47th and Prairie. And Islam is not a religion of fighting constant wars. The first war is the jihad within our own self, battling against our own weaknesses and shortcomings. But Ramadan is a good time to not work out physically, but to work out spiritually. We pray Tawheed prayer, we pray all night just to work out physically, to strengthen your spirituality. So we praying from 9:30 at night to 11 o'clock at night. It's time to get down to business.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. So, I'm still waiting on my guests. Okay, I just tried the link that I sent you, Brother Salim, and it did not go through. I just tried it. All Muslims around the world, alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum. So, alhamdulillah, this is the time of year Muslims fast. And please, Allah, and to obtain self-restraint. This is true. This is true. And what is it? Why are we fasting? We're fasting for the sake of Allah. We're fasting for the sake of Allah. And we have to believe in what fasting is. You're going by a Islamic calendar, and you know what, that can change every single year. Okay. And what is it? You're being asked to sacrifice for the sake of Allah. So, you sacrifice for something. You know what? There's things that you're going to be prohibited to do. Well, all Muslims around the world are obligated to fast once a year. Yes, they are. They are obligated. So getting back to what I was saying is that what happened is when you are fasting, you're fasting for the sake of Allah, not for yourself. Because Allah doesn't need anything that you have. Nothing. So that means when you're fasting, you do not eat anything. Anything. When the sun comes up, you do not eat anything. You don't eat anything. And you're more cognizant. You're more cognizant of Allah than at any point. It puts us back in balance. You know what? It's sort of like getting a tune-up for me.
They may be like something else to somebody else. And I'm going to read just Brother Muhammad. I'm going to come back to it. The believer must abstain from eating and drinking from the sun up to the sunset, all food and drinks. For 30 days. It could be 30 days or 29 days. But that is true. So you're not drinking anything when the sun goes up. You're not drinking. You're not even a piece of candy. I remember watching a championship. And you know what? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. How you doing, David? I gotta get David back on. Got to. You know, that's my main man. But I remember Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for people that don't recognize that name, he was a basketball player that played for the Lakers. And they was going through a championship. But he still fasted. Same thing with Elijah won. So like I said, when the son, you're doing this, whereas you abstain from sexual intercourse with your wife. That's something that you do. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, brother. I got you on the speaker. How you doing? Yes. Well, what would you like to tell us about it, brother? Let me say this again. This brother's with the Flaming Crusher. He's the spokesman for the Flaming Crusher Society. Also, he has a fabulous podcast. And he also has a television show in the mind of Minister Ben Willis. Please, brother, tell us. What is your thoughts about Ramadan? Mm-hmm. And it has like a horrific name, Ramadan, and all that, but I never looked into it until I became Muslim. Yes. And here's the thing, I heard you speak about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes. And see, here's the thing about Ramadan, because I'm going to allude to that. There are a lot of athletes that are Muslim. Mm-hmm. And I remember playing in the basketball league, and I'm lifting weights and everything else. And of course, when you don't eat, and you don't drink water, and you're doing physical activity, you really see how mentally strong you are and how your body adapts to doing something like that. And it's very easy to go and drink you some water. Nobody's looking. And we can do all those types of things, but our belief is so strong in Almighty God that we challenge ourselves. Now, my first Ramadan, wow. Yes. It was interesting, man. I mean, it was, you know, the thing is, for those who do know that are Muslim, and those who don't, Ramadan is a time of fasting for the Muslims. It's 30 days. Yes. For the Muslims. Yes. It is to bring us closer to the oneness of God. And also, it helps us. It really opens up a portal for mankind. Yes. It shows us that they have virtues of mankind to be kind to others. In other words, it says, you know, we're supposed to fast with eating. Fast with drinking. Yes. Fast with our eyesight. Yes. So if we see something that's not good, we gotta look away from it. Fast from speaking foul language. And fast from hearing foul language and not. Yes. Stuff like that. So and those are the toughest part. Those are the toughest part. But
some bread and some juice and everything else. And I'm gonna pig out. Well, Prophet Muhammad, the prophet of Islam,
Yes.
break your fast with a poor man's meal.
Yes.
And you know how a poor man eats.
Yeah.
So now, for those people who always say, well, what if I'm sick? What if I have, some health issues and I have to take medication?
Yes.
I can't fast now.
No.
Well, yes, you can.
Listen. Educate us.
You take your medication. If you don't eat behind your medication, you eat behind the medication.
Yes.
But you still can guard your eyes, your speech, your hearing. And also it says that if you can feed people,
Yes.
if you can make people meals or feed them, if you're able to, if you're able to, because God, Allah don't put a hardship on us when we do this.
Yes.
And so what it does, it brings self-discipline, and it does that, brother. It seems like it's hard, but when you do it, you say, wow. And when it's over with, you just like, you feel like you lost a friend.
Yes.
You do it for 30 days, and then when it's over, you feel like, wait a minute, I lost it. Or here's another thing, also, be opponent. When you break your fast, because when you fast, your sugar level drops.
Yes.
It drops. So the ideal meal, the ideal food to eat to break your fast is dates.
Yes.
You eat the dates, and the dates will bring your sugar level down again.
Yes.
Dates are a spiritual food. Dates, grapes, bananas, olives, those are spiritual foods. Those foods are mentioned in Quran. Those foods are mentioned in the Torah, the Jewish holy book. Those foods are mentioned in the Bible.
Yes. Yes.
So those are very, very important. And God has ordained for that for us.
Yeah. But you know what, Minister Ben? You know what, before we move on, I want to tell people, you do shows on religion. What is the name of your YouTube website? And how do they go to it?
You can go to Minister Ben Willis Blast Off Podcast.
Okay.
And I speak about religion, the comparative other religions. I talk about social and economic issues. I talk about relationships. I talk about sports. I talk about Chicago, the city that I love, and I talk about some of the other parts about Chicago, and some of the things that people hear and some of the misnomers.
Yes.
I do this, and you can leave comments or subscribe to the channel. But I do that, and I'm gonna get back in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a show. I'm gonna do a show because I've been out for since December. It was called a creative wall. When you coming up with things, I'll say you get a blank, and I had to sit back for a minute to go back, but I'll be glad to get back.
Okay.
And another thing, too, I want to say this about you, brother, that you really inspired me.
Praise you,
You was a vehicle. I got to put you in my mom, may Allah bless her, and may she rest in peace. But, she encouraged me to do this. And then I looked at you as a portal.
Praise to Allah.
And so, all praises to Allah, because if it wasn't for that, and then my brother, he jumped on and he pushed me further. So it's the three of y'all doing that. This was spurred on my TV shows, my podcast, things of that nature. And I'm grateful for all three of you. And all praises to Allah.
Okay. I'm going to read this in the chat room, okay? And maybe you can address it. He said, wherever Muslims fast in a month with the intentions of pleasing Allah, so will have all of their sins forgiven. from the past or for what past year, whatever pleases Allah. What is your response to that? And Brother Salim, I've been waiting on him, but go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Well, what he said, what his brother said, and this is what I've heard too, and I've heard also, is that it wipes away all the sins that you took. Because, and when you look at the common sense, it do make sense because you're sacrificing for the cause of Allah.
Mm-hmm.
And Allah always says in the Quran, I'm paraphrasing it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about me, I'm thinking about you.
Yes. Yes.
You know, if you think about me, I'm thinking about you. It's just like when you take the Shahada. When you take the Shahada, which means you're making a declaration to become Muslim.
Yes.
And it's like, in Christianity, it's called baptism. It's like a baptism.
Yes.
And when you say, I'm going to embrace Islam, and once you make the declaration to embrace Islam, all the sins that you had are washed away.
Yes.
And you start like a brand new baby. So all of a sudden now, it's like a cleansing. It's like a spiritual cleansing. Ramadan is like a spiritual cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
And you complete the fast, and you do it with good intentions.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. And so I would say one real quick thing, real quick to show you the benefits of fasting. And this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There was a war, there was a conflict between Russia and Afghanistan.
Yes.
And Russia was invading Afghanistan, but the Islamic fighters, which are called the Mujahideen, they're Islamic fighters. During the time they was fighting,
mm-hmm.
and they're fighting in the bush, they're fighting in the hills, the food was running out
Yes.
for the Russians.
Yeah.
And of course they deal with weakness and fatigue.
Yeah.
Well, because the Muslims fast for a month for Ramadan every year. The Mujahideen, the Islamic fighters, could withstand, with very little food because we're trained like that.
Yeah.
So we look at all the different benefits of what this do for us.
Oh, okay. We got something in the chat room. Question for you, brother and sister. One sister said, "Hello, brother Ben. This is Sister Dalita from the Truth Spitters." That's what she said.
Dalita, I love her, beloved. It is just a pleasure to hear her voice.
Mm-hmm.
To know where it's coming from. It is always a pleasure.
And let me send a message out there to the Truth Spitters. You know what? Watch this show. Watch the show. Because Brother Salim is on that show. Watch it. Because you know what? Some people say, what are you doing telling somebody to watch another show and you got a show? See, it's enough for everybody. And you know what? Allah has allotted for me is for me. And what Allah has allotted for them is for them. So I encourage you to go to my Minister Ben's website. Go to David Cox's website. Okay, the Truth Spitters. Go there because we get what Allah wants us to have. I'm gonna give an example. If I pass out 1,000 cards, 2,000 cards, I'm not gonna get any more than what Allah wants me to have. Okay, so there's something in here, brother. I don't even know if I asked you this. Say if you cannot fast. You know what's funny? I was going to ask you to be a guest tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, but you know what? No, I got to give Brother Salim back. But you know what? It's something. Maybe both of y'all. Maybe both of y'all. But you know what? It's something in here that says, if you cannot fast and you're sick, one should give charity in place of fast. He or she cannot perform because of health reasons. What is your answer to that?
Well, the thing is, again, one of the biggest things is your intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Your intention is because your devotion to the Creator, to Allah, to God, or you can't because you're sick. You can still fast with your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can still fast with your tongue and your hearing.
Minister Ben, I got another caller. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, brother. Just let me know tomorrow.
Okay, salam alaikum. Yes.
Okay. I sent the caller a voicemail. Goodbye.
Yeah, hello? So, if that was Brother Salim, you can call back. Call back, because I don't know what happened. And you know what? I have to tell you something. Shows like David Koss, you need to watch that. The Truth Spitters, you need to watch that. Okay? And you need to, in a man of Minister Ben Willis, awesome show. Awesome show. You know, these are shows that you need, because they're talking about something. They're not talking about foolishness. You know, of course, we all have a little fun, but we're hoping Brother Salim calls back, and what I'm going to do is, yeah, assalamu alaikum. I'm going to just put you on the speaker, brother. Okay. Let me say something to you. You know what? Assalamu alaikum to you, brother. This is Brother Salim. Brother Salim of the Flaming Crescent Society, and he has an organization that's to carry out the principles of Allah, and it's modeled by what Malcolm X, the way he lived, and people should join that. And plus, he comes on a show called The Truth Spitters. And you know what? With no further ado, I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I did the best I could do, and he's an author.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir.
Ramadan Mubarak, and brother, I would like to apologize for the technical difficulties that I've had, getting on the live video program. So I had to settle for, calling in on the show. I really apologize for that. I don't know what happened. I tried getting on the link about 6 or 7 times, and for some reason it's got me locked out. And asking me for a password and code that I can't even remember. But, anyway, I'm here, for as long as you need me to be on. And, I just want to share, some insight, a lot.
But you know what? Before we get started with your interview, I would like to say, tell us something about yourself. And you come on a show every Saturday, and you know what? And I'm like me. I love it. I would love to just network with the haymakers. But like I said, tell us, brother.
Well, I'm Brother Salim. For those that may not know me, I'm Brother Salim Abdul Khalid. And some years ago, I started a non-profit organization called the Flaming Crescent Society, which was dedicated in honor of Brother Alhaj Malik Shabazz, known to us mainly by the name of Malcolm X, to continue his legacy and his memory, and also correct many of the misconceptions and misunderstanding that most American people have about Islam. And with the Flaming Crescent Society, we have also reached out to youth in the community. We've influenced former gangbangers, lives in a positive direction. We've got out on the street corner. I have rented buses, taking people to the Million Family March, the Million Youth March in New York City. I've taken people to the Black Holocaust Museum in Milwaukee, which closed down some years ago, which I would like to remind people just reopened just recently back in Milwaukee. So we're going to be arranging people, to take trips up there, to see the Black Holocaust Museum. I'm also the author of 10 publications. My main 2 publications are The Untold Story of Blacks in Islam, and also I did a publication called Slavery, Reparations, and White Supremacy.
Is it on Amazon?
Both books are on Amazon, or I can be contacted directly. So those are just some of the things that making a commitment, that, as a black man, I had a responsibility to stand up in my community, to be a voice of concern and also be an activist and carry on not only the legacy of Malcolm X, but all of the great heroes and sheroes, warriors and warriorettes, soldiers and soldierettes who came to wake us up and shake us up.
But I gotta ask you one thing. Tomorrow, y'all, like I said, y'all come, with the truth spitters come on every Saturday. And if you can tell the people what time that y'all come on and how do they get to y'all?
Well, the Truth Spitters podcast was started by Brother Patrick Jameson, also known as Brother Zimran True. He prefers Zim and Truth, and also Queen Nolita Young from California. And they asked me to participate in the podcast last year. And every Saturday at 7 o'clock, we come on and we speak the truth. We speak it like it need to be spat.
Excuse me, is that Central Time or Eastern Time or Western Time for the people that live in different time zones?
Well, for Chicago area residents, the time would be 7 p.m. every Saturday. If you live in New York or the East Coast, I think the time would be 8 p.m.
So for Chicago, but it's Central Time. It's Central Time.
Central Time, Chicago. If you're on the West Coast, it would be around 5 p.m. Pacific time, if I'm not mistaken. But it's catching on, and it's a lot of work to be done. But every Saturday, Brother Zimran and Sister Dolisa, along with myself, we are trying to enlighten and wake our people up. And contribute our part, in trying to make our community and the black nation of the race.
Okay, I'm gonna read some texts to you. It said, what's that from Brother David? It says, Big Brother Salim, you have a YouTube account. That's a question.
Yeah, I have a YouTube account that I really need it. I really haven't been using it that much. I'm mostly on Facebook.
Okay.
Every day, posting information, to enlighten our people. But thanks for that, Brother David. I'm going to, get on, activating and making that YouTube account, prominent in the, spread of truth.
Okay. I'm gonna get to Ramadan, but you got a lot of questions, and then we get to Ramadan. Brother Tyrone, inshallah, I'm gonna try to have Brother Tyrone on Sunday. See, y'all don't know, I'm a member of the Flaming Crescent Society, but I'm very limited. And all he gotta do is give me a call, but I'm very limited number. My hands are just tight, but this is the organization to belong to. But Brother Tyrone said, the Flaming Crescent Society in the house.
Thank you. Peace and blessings, Brother Tyrone. Let me just say this to you, Brother Clifton. You're a very busy man, but whenever you have had the time, to come out and support this Flaming Crescent Society, you've done an excellent job, and with donations and effort that you put forth have been greatly appreciated, my brother.
Hey, I'm a card carrying member. Okay, and then you got another something in here called the guy wanted to know, Clifton, you yet to talk about the crucifixion. And then we're gonna get to Ramadan after that. Do you want to talk about the crucifixion? What happened? Hello? Hey, that must be the government, but I guess he will call back. Hello? See, you know what? A lot of people don't understand that we're talking about something that's very sensitive, and the government watch. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, this brother David wants to know something about the crucifixion. Then I'm gonna get back to Ramadan. Okay. Oh, go ahead. Yes.
crucifixion rules, but I am aware of, certain types of information books and other film documentaries that have exposed it for the hopes that it is.
Okay. Well, I want to go to, Brother Salim, I want to go back to Ramadan. Now, this Minister Ben, thank you. I'm going to have Minister Ben on, inshallah, tomorrow. I'm going to try to get Brother Tyrone on, from the Flaming Crescent Society, and have them come on and talk about Islam. But what I want to ask you is, what is Ramadan? As people are wondering, what are these people doing? What is it all about? There's a group of people. We're not here to put down no other religion. We're talking about what is Islam. We want if you can do some clarification to the audience, I'd appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I definitely would like to do that before speaking about Ramadan, my brother, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Okay, and I want you to know that I have as much time on spent this evening as needs be in order to, clarify this whole subject.
Okay.
But anyway, we start off by saying, that in order for us to understand fasting and Ramadan, what Ramadan is about, we first have to have the proper understanding of what is Islam about.
Yes.
And I would first like to point out that when we're speaking of Islam, we're not talking about a new religion. Let me repeat that one more again. When we talk about Islam, we're not talking about a new religion. In fact, Islam is the primordial faith or way of life that was here in the beginning of time. What do you mean when you say that, Brother Swain?
Yes.
You look at the sun, the moon, the stars, the animals, the birds, the bees. In the beginning, when God created everything, He created everything to bow to His will. So when we say that a person is Muslim, we're saying that they're simply a person or a human being that choose to submit to the divine will of God. And we not only say that human beings are Muslim, but we say that the very creation that Allah made are Muslim. Also, in other words, when Allah created the sun, He made it a Muslim. When He created the moon, He made it a Muslim. When He created the birds, the bees, the dogs, the cats, He created all of them Muslim, meaning that they automatically submit to the divine will of Almighty God without question. It is only the human being that Almighty God gave a certain limited free will, but still, we breathe the air, that makes us Muslim. The food that Allah created, we're still Muslim. You understand? But a human being, again, we can have limited free will, which means that we can choose to deviate from the way of life of Islam if we choose. But everything that Allah created is Muslim by nature, meaning that it was created to bow to the divine will of Almighty God. Now, who is the Muslim? Again, we have to explain what Islam is about, in order to clarify what Ramadan and fasting is about. Who is Allah? A lot of people hear the Muslims use this name Allah most of the time instead of God. If you understand anything about the ancient language of the Middle East, when Jesus used referred to the Creator, He did not say God, G-O-D, because the word G-O-D, God, is a Germanic word that did not appear till centuries after Jesus had left the planet Earth. In the language that Jesus spoke, He would have said Allah in the Aramaic language. So when the Muslims say Allah, we're not talking about a foreign God. We're not talking about a moon God, as the lying Christian preachers like to say. They like to say that Muslims worship the moon when the Holy Quran itself forbids moon worship. Why would Allah, if He was a moon God, condemn Himself? So we need to get an understanding of who is this Allah. When we say Allah, we're talking about one creator of the heavens and the earth, the same being, Almighty being that Jesus Himself worshiped. When He said, my Father is greater than I. You understand? When He said in Matthew chapter 4, verse 10, He said, when you pray, pray to the one true God. This is the same thing that Muslim worship. Let me move on. So what did Allah do? Allah sent a divine revelation in the form of a book to a man called Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago in 6th century AD with a message of truth to humanity that we may be guided into the right path. And we have to also understand that when we live this life, Brother Christian, we're not living it without purpose. Everything that Almighty Allah created has a divine purpose. And when you die, you will be taken into the next life and be judged, for the good that you did and also the evil or the wickedness that you perpetuated. So life has a purpose. There is one God, and Islam, all Islam means is submission to the will of God.
I would like to ask you first. I better read these things that's in the chat room. It's a brother David saying, "I'm still waiting on my Crescent. What's that? Flaming Crescent Society membership card, big brother Salim." Brother David. Okay, and David says, "Teach, big brother." And what's this other? Ramadan is the month in which we sit down from the Quran and as a guide for mankind, a clear sign of guidance for judgment between right and wrong. Quran, it says, let me see, chapter 2, verse 185. So, you the scholar now.
Let me also say this here in trying to get the audience. I want to get into fasting, but again, I want people to understand, what Islam is about, because you have many different sects. You have some organizations out there that are giving misinterpretations of who God is, who Allah is. They are advocating that you worship men, which is against the Quran, when the Quran says in chapter 6, verse 103, that God is unseen. And also in chapter 112, verse 1 through 4 of the Holy Quran, when it says that God, Allah, begets not, nor is he begotten. So in order to come to a true interpretation and understanding of Islam, we must follow Prophet Muhammad, to whom the Holy Quran was originally given, nobody else.
You know what, Brother Salim? I would like to ask you first another question. What signifies when Ramadan began? Why was it originally put out there? Like, why? And why does it change? Why does it change every year?
Well, originally, as the other brother said, that Ramadan is the month, in which the Quran came down unto the Prophet Muhammad, and every year it's a different time period based upon the fact that Ramadan is based on the sighting of the moon or the lunar calendar. We don't follow the Gregorian calendar, which is the calendar that was invented by the Romans. You understand? Slightly distorted time. And so, in fact, you find some Muslims that use the moon as a symbol. It's not an emblem of worship, but it's only a symbol. Allah says in the Quran that the moon is only a symbol of time. So there's no truth to the fallacious idea of some anti-Muslim, that Muslims worship the moon. It is only a symbol of time, and the Holy Quran plainly said that true Muslims do not worship either the sun, the moon, or the star, but they worship the creator of those heavenly objects.
Well, and you know what? When we talk about Ramadan, what is the reason you stop eating when the sun comes up? Why?
Well, brother, let me explain something. Everything that a Muslim does is in accord with the laws of nature in the universe. Let me repeat that one more again. Everything that a God, Allah, created. Now, when you go out into nature, what happens in the wintertime with the bears? The bears hibernate. They go into the cave and they hibernate, and then there are other animals, and when the wintertime comes, they do what they call hibernate.
Yes.
When these animals are hibernating, they are not eating, they are fasting.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
When you wake up, for example, when you wake up in the morning, what do they call that meal that you eat in the morning?
Breakfast.
They call it breakfast,
Yes.
which is a combination of the word break and fast. So overnight, that you have been asleep in your bed, you have not been eating, but you have been fasting whilst you were asleep. And when you wake up in the morning, this is the reason why they call it break fast. You have broken a fast. So fasting is in accord with the laws of creation and the universe.
Yes.
Another thing, when we go to the scripture, we find that Moses fasted for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yes.
And also Jesus, according to the biblical scripture, fasted for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yes.
Now, it has been a tradition of Prophet Muhammad. They say that it was a tradition of Prophet Muhammad, and he would fast the 30 days of Ramadan, and sometimes he would add 10 other days, making it a total of 40 days also. So Muslims, when we fast, we're only following the ancient tradition that was here long before us, even going back into the history of ancient Egypt.
Yes.
We find that many of the wise Egyptians also fasted.
Yes.
And why did they fast? They fasted because there were not only spiritual benefits. Fasting benefits one's spiritual. It cleanses one's mind, one's heart, one's soul. And not only that, fasting also has certain medical benefits. I have certain books in my library.
Yes.
And scientists and doctors have reported that when they experimented with fasting human beings, they found out that fasting could help improve certain diseases and illnesses like high blood pressure, obesity, or even cancer. See, certain cancer cells. Certain people were fasting in these scientific medical experiments. They found out that some of the cancer cells
Yes.
began to go into remission.
Yes.
So Allah in His divine wisdom, my brother,
Yes.
has said in the Holy Quran, He said that fasting is best for you if you but know.
Yes. And
You understand?
I understand.
There's nothing in the Holy Quran that Almighty God has revealed for the detriment of the human being. Everything that Allah has revealed in the Holy Quran is for the benefit, the physical, mental, social, political, and spiritual benefit of the human being, and that also includes fasting.
And you know, Brother Salim, what does a brother do, a sister do? Are the sisters required, because we don't talk about the sisters a lot, are they required to go through Ramadan when they're going through their menstrual cycles, and are they pregnant? And if you are sick, diabetic, can you explain us how do we handle it?
Well, brother, let me explain that all Muslims, whether they be male or female, are required to fast during the month of Ramadan. However, there are certain exemptions and restrictions for those, you mentioned the female Muslims, the Muslims, and the female Muslims are on their menstrual period, and also I understand when they're pregnant or, experiencing, illness and type of, if you are ill, you're allowed by Almighty Allah, to take off certain days of fasting until you get well and make up days later. You understand? But every Muslim who is healthy and in a position of maybe not have a chronic illness, some people have diabetes, some people have hypertension where they are under doctor's medication. If you're under doctor's medication and you experience a chronic illness,
Mm-hmm.
you are exempt from fasting. And what you can do is you can feed poor people.
Yes.
You know, as a compensation in order to make up for the days that you are unable to fast.
Okay.
So one of the things that I love about Islam and Almighty God Allah is that Almighty God is most merciful and He's most understanding of the human condition.
And you know what? Like I said, the people that are listening to this, I must emphasize, even though we're talking about Islam, but you know what? You must tune in to the true spitters, because you know what? They're attempting to wake up people that are dead, that are blind, and you know what? And cannot hear. Can't see. I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about mentally. When does that show come on again, my brother?
Yeah, let me give that information one more time. The True Spitters podcast with Brother Zimmer and True, Sister Dolitha Young, and myself, Brother Salim Abdul Khalid, comes on every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, which is Chicago time, and also 5 p.m. Pacific Time, which is the West Coast or California time. Now, let me give that number. Let me give the number to the show.
Okay.
It is 559 856 2090. And you can go to Hey Neighbor, www.heyneighbors, that's spelled with a Z on the end, .com. Let me repeat that. Let me just spell that out for the listeners and the viewers. That is www.heyneighbors, that's HEYNEIGHBORZ.com. Okay, and that phone number once again is 559 856 2090. Let me get that website and also that phone number one more again, if I can, my brother.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Okay, that website is www.heyneighbors.com. And the phone number once again is 559 856 2090. And that comes on once again Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. and Pacific Time, 5 p.m.
You know, it's a brother that there's something in it. We know that we can feed people if you cannot make it, but it's something. Somebody sent a message, Mr. Muhammad. It said, "O ye who believers, fasting is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, that you may learn self-restraint." It's in the Quran, chapter 2, ayat 182. You want to comment on that?
Well, absolutely. Fasting is designed by Allah, to give the human being discipline. One of the worst sins and one of the worst physical ailments that human beings can have is obesity.
Yes.
Obesity and also gluttony or greed. Greed for food, overeating. And the Prophet Muhammad, if you study his hadith sayings, there are certain hadith sayings of Prophet Muhammad in which he spoke against, overeating. He used to say things like, the food for one on a plate is enough for two or three people, things of that nature, to let us know that as Muslims, as believers in Allah, we have to be able to control our appetites. Because the appetite, can lead to self-destruction when it is the wrong type of appetite. You have certain people on the planet Earth, they eat snakes, they eat monkeys, they eat dogs, they eat cats, they eat, insects and all kind of forbidden things along with the swine. You understand? And what Allah wants us to do as Muslims, He wants us to have, as He says, don't have appetites unchecked by knowledge. In other words, the Quran encourages us to eat nutritiously. The Quran also encourages us to be healthy human beings and fasting. The 30 days of Ramadan and also in other times throughout the year is a way to not only help us develop spiritually and also get self-discipline, but it also, is a method in which we can improve our health through disciplining the stomach, the digestive system.
Yeah, and you know what, Brother Salim, I'm asking you, would you have words of encouragement for Muslims that are being prosecuted for their belief system in Allah, like in China, like the Palestinians in England, Islam for the 4K, I think it's Islam for the UK, and Indonesia. I'm talking about Muslims that are going through hardships because people are prosecuting them for their love of Islam and the Islamic people in Ukraine. Would you have a message for them?
Well, absolutely. I think that it's time, that we as Muslims put down our differences. There are many Muslims, who are divided in the sects. You have the Shiite, you have the Sunni, you have the Sufi, the Ahmadiyya, the Nation of Islam. Like, personally, I don't belong to any particular sect. If anybody would ask me which group I belong to, I would tell them or respond by saying I don't belong to any particular one. All of them belong to me. And my reason for saying that is that I encourage unity amongst all of the Muslims. How can you despise one another when you're hated by the Zionists, when you're hated by the capitalist, the altruistic capitalist system, as Malcolm X called it? There's no time for Muslims to be divided. The Muslims should come together in unity against the common enemy. I once heard one sheikh say that if all of the Muslims all over the globe gathered in the direction of their enemies and spit, then all of their enemies would drown. There are over 1 billion plus Muslims on the planet. And I encourage all of the Muslims, to take concern, for our oppressed Muslim brothers and sisters. I'm glad that you raised that question because I also wanted to add something. One of the reasons why Muslims are oppressed, suppressed, persecuted, and mistreated is because people have the wrong understanding and interpretation about what Islam is all about. And one of the things, that I've heard Christian preachers wrongly say about Islam, they've called Muslims and Prophet Muhammad satanic. They called Islam a terrorist religion. And nothing could be further from the truth, Brother Clifton, because it's impossible to be a Muslim terrorist. Some people may say, well, what about all the so-called Muslims that's going around harming innocent people? Let me repeat that one more again. There's no such thing as a Muslim terrorist. That is an oxymoron. You can't be a Muslim and be a terrorist at the same time. Let me explain what I mean. The word Muslim means one who believes in peace and submits to the will of God. How can you pick up a gun or a knife and terrorize somebody and stab somebody to death and shoot somebody to death at the same time you're being peaceful and worshiping the one God? You understand? Any so-called Muslim, let me get this understood.
Go ahead.
Any so-called Muslim that would run a plane into a building or harm an innocent person has violated and gone against the true teaching of Islam in the Holy Quran.
Yes.
You cannot be a Muslim, a true Muslim, and do evil acts at the same time. Once you do, you have violated the principles of Islam. So we have to understand that this term Muslim terrorist is something that was created by the Western news media in order to draw fear into the American people. to the global audience so that they would fear to listen to the Muslims.
And Brother Salim, I guess I gotta ask you the question again. What encouragement would you, during Ramadan, what encouragement would you give to a brother that's in the UK, Islam for the UK and let me see, Saudi Arabia and the Muslims that are being prosecuted in China for their beliefs in Allah, and just what encouragement can you give them about Ramadan, and can you give them some words of encouragement?
Well, I would encourage them to hold on to the rope of Allah. I would encourage them to continue to believe in the Quran, brother, because there's no better inspiration. There's no better inspiration than one could get from Allah's word himself. Stay in the Quran. Be steadfast in the fear of criticism from those who criticize, as Allah says in the Holy Quran, my brother. Allah says that we must be patient, we must be steadfast, we must be upright, we must stand up for the truth regardless of the consequences, because we have to understand that this life is just temporary.
Yes.
You understand? This life is only temporary. There are going to be Muslims who are being persecuted. There are going to be Muslims who are harmed. There are going to be some Muslims who are going to die in the cause of the truth.
Yeah.
If we hold on to the rope of Allah, there is a greater reward for us in the hereafter and the afterlife.
Yes, yes.
And there's no such thing as a Muslim dying.
Yes.
Allah says, speak not of my servants as being dead. They are alive, though you perceive not.
And you know what? You know what? When we got something in here, and then I'm gonna ask you other questions. It said, "Every soul shall have a taste of death, and only on the day of judgment shall we be paid our full recompenses." Recompense. I don't even know what that means. Be paid your wages, I guess. It says Quran, 3rd chapter, 185 ayat. So you coming on it. So every soul shall taste death, as you just said. And you know what? And I would like to ask you, what does Ramadan mean to you, brother? And why did you become a Muslim? I don't think I've asked you that. Go ahead.
Well, to answer the first part of your question first, my brother, Ramadan means everything to me, because sometimes, as a Muslim, sometimes you get tilted a little bit. You understand? You fall off balance a little bit. And I'm a human being. I have certain weaknesses. I have to pray to Allah every day for forgiveness, for my weaknesses. And, ask Allah that He'll make me stronger. When I fall away or get weak, it is a ritual, 30-day ritual of Ramadan, and He'll get me back on the straight path.
Me too. Yeah.
You understand? So Ramadan is important to me because it's a reminder of my role in this creation as a servant of Allah, that I'm obligated to be obedient to the will of Allah and to follow Allah's guidance, because Allah's guidance is the only thing in this whole creation, that will guide us on the straight path and on the way to paradise.
Yes.
To answer the second part of your question, I became a Muslim when I was 19 years of age, and it was because of a brother that I met in the military that had tremendous impact upon me. He was a Muslim, and when I found out that he was a Muslim, I wanted to be around him because the other people that knew that he was a Muslim were ridiculing and making fun of him. And what I wanted to do was get around this brother so I could pick his brain to find out what a Muslim was. And actually, some of the questions that I asked the brother kind of was insulting, but he didn't respond in a negative way. He responded in a very dignified and respectful and intelligent way to my question. It left me with my head spinning. But here's the thing that really made me want a desire to convert to Islam.
Yes.
It wasn't so much what I heard the brother say, it's what I saw him do. It was his behavior that made me want to convert to Islam. You know, I never saw the brother take a drink. I never saw the brother disrespect women. He didn't use profanity. You know, he wasn't engaged in immorality like me and the other soldiers on base. He had a totally upright, spiritually clean character. And the icing on the cake was when I was getting out of the military. I was stationed at Fort Benning in Georgia. This was 1976. I was getting out for the last time. And it came to my, I wasn't sure whether I was going to take a Greyhound bus on or somebody was going to give me a ride. But when he heard that I was getting out of the military and going on my way back home, he volunteered to take me home. And when he took me home, along the way, when I went in my pocket to try to give him some money for gas,
Yes.
he refused to take it.
Yes.
This brother drove me 300 miles out of his way to make sure that I got home safely and did not ask me for one red penny.
Praises to God.
And when I got out of his vehicle and I saw him driving down the road for the last time, I have not seen this brother in over 40-something years, but when I got out of his vehicle,
Yes.
I saw his car driving down the highway. I looked at his car and I said to myself, I want to be a man
Yes.
and a Muslim just like him.
Yes. Alhamdulillah.
And that's what made me convert to Islam. It wasn't what the brother said. It's what I saw him do. It was his character. And as Muslims, we have to remember, you know, that Prophet Muhammad not only taught the truth, but he demonstrated the truth. As his wife Aisha said, it was the Quran walking.
And you know what? I would like to ask you a question. There are people that are listening intensely. Why? First of all, Quran, there's no compulsion in Islam. Why should a person consider becoming a Muslim? Why? What is the reason?
Well, they should consider becoming a Muslim not out of compulsion. Because one of the things that the Holy Quran says, my brother, that there is no compulsion in this deen, in this religion. A Muslim cannot force anybody to become a Muslim. Allah invites the human being to return to his original nature, which is Muslim. Now, let me answer your question. Why should a person become a Muslim? A person should become a Muslim because the first thing they need to understand, as I said at the beginning, everything that Allah created in the universe is a Muslim by nature.
Yeah.
You were born a Muslim by nature. Let me give you some evidence. When you are in your mother's womb, what's the position that you come out when you're born?
You're in a fetal state. I'm saying while you're in the womb, so I'm saying in the fetal state, but I know I'm wrong.
You're in the fetal state. The fetal state of which you're born in the hospital.
Yeah.
Now your mother's womb is the very same position that Muslims take when we are bowing our head down in prayer to Almighty God Allah. You know, as I said, let me answer your question now. As I said earlier, everything that Allah made, Allah tells you plainly in the Holy Quran, my brother, that He created jinn and men that they may worship Him. You understand? And the human being really is born with a natural disposition to worship Allah. But what happens when we come in a world, we come in a society that corrupts that original nature that Allah put in us?
Yes.
Now, let me give you some more evidence that we're Muslim by nature. Have you ever seen an old lady walking with heavy bags at Oxford called help?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a blind person walking across the street and you voluntarily help them go across the street safely?
Yes.
Do you know automatically that you should respect your mother?
Yeah, absolutely. Paradise lies at her feet. Yeah.
Well, this is only demonstrating that just as the Holy Quran said that Allah made us Muslim by nature, because Muslim not only means one who is of peace and not only one who obeys God, but one who is righteous.
Yes.
So Almighty Allah put it in our
And you know,
it's only when we do evil, we are deviating from the original nature that Almighty God Allah put within us as human beings. And it's an evil entity, an unseen. Let me get this out. There's an unseen entity in the universe called Shaitan.
What is Shaitan?
The original name was Iblis, that is responsible for all of the evil and misleading human beings on the planet Earth through suggestion. He suggested, Allah tells us he has no power over us except for what we give him. And on the Yawm el-Qiyamah, the day of judgment, he's going to tell his followers who are entering the hellfire, don't blame me, blame yourself. The only thing that I did was call you to what's wrong.
Let me ask you something. Damn, I guess we going into another show. I would like to ask you, brother, why in America a segment of the population believes that Islam is an evil religion, and they depict Muslims as being evil, as being terrorists. I've seen cartoons, The Simpsons, where they say, beware of the bearded ones. And I've seen somebody say on a television show when he got sit down on the toilet saying men don't sit down. Men, you know, and why are we depicted in that way? Why? What have we done if we pray 5 times a day and we believe in Allah and we pay zakat and we try to go to the Hajj? Why is a segment of the population in Hollywood depicting Muslims in a bad way?
Well, brother, it's part of an agenda. We have to understand that it's a conspiratorial agenda on planet Earth to destroy righteousness and even destroy God in the minds of the human being. But to answer your question more directly and concisely, let me point out that mainly the hatred against Muslims started during the Crusades. During the rule of the Pope Urban II.
Constantine, right?
No.
Okay.
Listen to the historical fact.
Okay.
The hatred that we see against the Muslim world today was originally initiated by the Pope of Rome in 1192 or 95 by Pope Urban II.
Okay.
When the Muslims were, this is a real important answer now, so you have to hear me out.
Okay.
During the time in which the Muslims were in control of the Middle East,
yes,
in the Holy Land, in the city called Jerusalem, the Christians became envious and jealous.
Yes.
And led by the Pope of Rome, Urban II, in I think that was either 1095 AD or 1195 AD. You can Google it or look it up. He initiated a plot to take Jerusalem from under the authority of the Muslims.
Wow.
And at that time, most of the Muslim world was dark because Islam started with the black Arabs of Arabia. But continuing with my answer, the Pope of Rome, Pope Urban, lied on the Muslims and said that the Muslims, while under control, having control of Jerusalem, had desecrated the grave of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And it was nothing but a big lie. You can look it up for yourself. There was a movie that Hollywood did some years ago called Kingdom of Heaven.
Yes.
Kingdom of Heaven. I encourage our viewers and our listeners to see that movie. The Kingdom of Heaven, about the Crusade Wars that the Christians initiated against the Muslims to take Jerusalem and the Holy Land away from the Muslims. This is when the propaganda first started.
Wow, I didn't know. Okay.
You understand that? You need to do the research. The Muslim must become aware of this history. Christians should become aware of this history because actually Christians and Muslims should be working together to make the planet Earth better. When the bullets start flying, it ain't got no Muslim or Christian name on it.
Yeah.
You understand? So the Muslims and the Christians need to work together to make the planet Earth better and understand how the hatred, the religious gangbanging, started between the Christians and the Muslims. It was the Pope of Rome, and what happened was he got soldiers to come from all over Europe to invade the Holy Land, to take the land away from the Muslims. And the Crusaders, as they called the warriors of the Pope, were so vicious and barbaric that they said that the blood of the Muslims ran in the streets of Jerusalem.
Wow.
The blood, let me repeat that again. The blood of the Muslim ran, it was almost knee deep.
Wow.
In Jerusalem, when them barbaric, savage, Crusader Christians, under the Knights Templar, secret society, invaded the Holy Land to take the land away from the. Now, let me say you something. Let me share this with you. The two things, and then we can move on to the next question.
Okay.
I have to share this because we need to understand the history.
Okay.
When the Frankish Christians, the Muslims, the Christians from France came into Jerusalem, they not only killed the Muslims, but they also cannibalized and ate the Muslims.
Wow.
This is history. I have a book in my library on the Crusades that document that. I have DVD video of historians admitting that some of the Christians ate the Muslims after they killed the Muslims.
Wow. Chevy,
This
man.
is history. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
Anytime you have me on your program, brother, I'm gonna come with the documented facts.
Hey, that's why you here, brother.
And let me tell you another thing. You remember that food item in, what was it, in McDonald's or Burger King, the croissant?
Yeah. I don't
You
know.
know where the croissant come from?
No, sir.
The croissant was a symbol that they came up with in food to symbolize what I'm talking about, how they used to eat the Muslim, because the crescent is a symbol of Islam.
Wow. Wow. You know what, we better move on because I know how YouTube is, man. Okay.
I'm just speaking historical facts.
No. I understand what you're saying. I understand. You know what? I do understand what you're saying. And you know what? And I appreciate you, man, for sharing that knowledge. But you know what, brother, I want to, go back to Ramadan. And you do not eat when the sun is up, but you can eat when the sun is.
Let me take a minute to go through all of that. Let me explain the rituals
Okay.
of Ramadan.
Okay.
As a Muslim, we wake up in the morning before sunrise, and we take a little bit of food for nutrition and energy, and we're going to need throughout the rest of the day.
Yes.
Okay, so you should make sure that you eat enough. Don't overeat, but eat enough to sustain your energy throughout the day. You might want to make sure that you get some, fruits in the morning. Bananas, oranges, apples, and things of that nature. And also, nutritional forms of breakfast in order to keep your fortitude up. Because during the daylight hours, you're not going to be allowed to eat anything. You're not going to be able to even drink any fluid. You can't drink any water. You can't drink coffee. You can't drink Kool-Aid or pipes or any type of fluids during the daylight hours. You're only allowed to eat and drink during the sunset, after the sunset. And after you have made the prayer, when the sun sets, what the Muslims do is we go and get some fruit. A lot of Muslims like to get dates or other pieces of fruit, banana, apple, orange, or whatever it is, in order to break their fast. Or along with some water. It's very important to drink water during the before the daylight hours and after the fasting day is over. to keep fluid in your system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But nothing. But we don't have any food or drink during the daylight hours. It's only when the sun sets. Before the sun rises and after the sun sets, that we as Muslims are allowed to eat and drink. Now, also during the daylight hours, you cannot have sex with your mate, your husband or your wife.
Yes.
That has to wait till the sun goes down.
Yes.
And if you do eat or drink or have sex during the daylight hours, then you have broken the fast.
Yes.
You have violated, the religious principles of Ramadan, and you have broken the fast.
Yes.
Understand? Okay, we need to understand that. There's no sex, no food, no water. You can't smoke during the daylight. If you are addicted to nicotine, then you have to wait until the sun sets before you smoke. So this takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, it does.
It takes a lot of discipline, but after the 30 days of fasting, you're going to be a brand new human being. The first couple of days, sometimes are very difficult, especially for newcomers.
Yeah, it's hard.
You understand? But once you get past the third or fourth day, it becomes a little bit easier. This has been my experience as a faster. I fasted over 30 or 40 years as a Muslim since I became a Muslim, and this has been my experience. The first couple of days may be a little bit rough, but once you get past that third or fourth or fifth day, then you begin to glide along.
And as we, Brother Salim, as we talk about Ramadan, why is it that it is every Muslim's obligation, if they can afford it, to go to Mecca, and they follow in the footsteps of Hagar and go around the Kaaba? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mentioned that in one second, but let me respond to Brother Alim Muhammad's post when he said, make sure you read as much of the Quran as you can during this Ramadan. And he's absolutely right. That had almost slipped past my mind. This is one other thing that we should read. I think a 30th part of the Quran every day if we can. And if we do that, at the end of Ramadan fasting, we will have completed the whole reading of the Holy Quran. If you just read 1/30 every day, if you are able to.
Yes.
And a very good point that Brother Alim Muhammad made. Yeah, we should read the Quran every day during the month of Ramadan, because this will inspire us, with more positivity, contribute to more of a spiritual mentality, and help us to, be able to be motivated.
Yeah.
To want to, complete the fast for the pleasure of Almighty God Allah.
I'm told if you read 20 pages a day, I don't know about that though. If you read 20 pages a day, I think you got to read a little more than that. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we have brother. Is this Brother David?
Yes.
Yeah. He said the American propaganda that spreads hate and to suppress the truth about Islam. They group radical and true Muslims together. It's not right. He's absolutely correct. I just wanted to make that comment about what the brother just said. But your question was, you asked me.
Yeah, I was going to ask what I would like to know for the listening audience. Why is it incumbent upon a Muslim, a Muslima, to go to Mecca if they can afford it? And why do they circle the Kaaba, and why do they follow the footsteps of Hagar?
Well, that's a very interesting question. The pilgrimage to Mecca, my brother, is the last of the 5 pillars. There are 6 articles of faith of a Muslim that all of us should understand, and plus 5 pillars of the religion. Now, what are the 5 pillars? The 5 pillars: number 1, belief in one God; number 2, prayer 5 times a day; fasting the month of Ramadan; number 3, zakat or charity to the poor. And the last pillar is the pilgrimage to Mecca, which was made famous by Al-Haj Malik Shabazz in the movie that Spike Lee made on Malcolm X. Now, why does Allah require us to make the pilgrimage to Mecca? Number one, we have to understand that the Kaaba the Qibla is the direction in which Muslims from all around the planet Earth face in the direction when it's time for us to pray. What does this do? What does this demonstrate?
Yes.
This is demonstrating that the unity and the oneness of the Muslim world.
Yes.
What happens when we go to make pilgrimage to Mecca? What happens is that we get a chance to see the oneness of humanity. We get a chance to see Muslims of all different races and nationalities.
Yes.
Speaking all kind of different languages. But we all have something in common when we go to Mecca, and that is that everyone is dressed in the white Ikram garb. You understand?
Yes.
You have to take off your rich Tia Kardine business suit.
Alhamdulillah.
And you have to wear that white garb. And though when you put on that white garb, nobody knows that you're rich and wealthy.
Yes.
Nobody knows that you're a big time politician. You become a regular human being. And not only that, there's symbolism. There's symbolism in the white garb that you wear. When a little newborn baby is born, what do they put on the little newborn baby?
Got a white something, yes.
They put diapers, white diapers.
Yeah.
On the baby. So when we put on the white pilgrim garb, that symbolizes that we're returning to our innocence.
Yes.
As human beings. And when you go to the pilgrimage in Mecca, we're told that Allah forgives all of the sins that you committed throughout your whole life. When you make the effort to make the pilgrimage to Mecca.
Okay.
So making the pilgrimage to Mecca and the rituals is symbolic of the innocence that you once had when you was a newborn baby.
Yes.
I'm not finished. Let me get through this.
All right, go ahead.
You mentioned Hagar.
Yes.
We have to understand that Hagar, this black Egyptian woman, the mother of Hagar, the mother of Ishmael, pardon me, and the great grandmother of Prophet Muhammad is the mother of Islam. And when we walk to Mecca and we circle the Kaaba, we are actually imitating. You understand? And when we run between the two hills, pardon me, of Safa and Marwa, we're imitating the footsteps that the black woman, the mother of Ishmael,
yes,
who was the great grandfather of Prophet Muhammad, we are imitating the mother of Islam, Hagar. You understand? And when we circle the Kaaba, it's a meaning to, again, I said earlier, it's a meaning in everything the Muslims do.
Yes.
If we would understood it, open our mind, and use the wisdom that Allah gave us with, you understand? And you know, things will open up when we circle the Kaaba.
Yes.
We're going, circling the Kaaba represents the oneness of God. Also, circling the Kaaba, circling the Kaaba symbolize the movement of the cosmos.
Oh, wow.
Planets around the sun. Now, Islam is a way of life that's in accord with the laws of the universe. Do you understand?
I understand, yes.
So again, everything that a Muslim does, whether it be fasting, whether it be praying, whether it be worshiping Allah put a divine meaning into that. When the Muslim bow his head down on the earth and pray to Allah, what is he doing? He's bowing the most precious part of his being, his brain, his mind, to the worship of the Almighty God. And Jesus did the same thing in Matthew chapter 26, verse 39, when he said that he went along first and bow his head down on the earth and worship God, pray to God. Jesus, well, this is the reason why we say Jesus was a Muslim.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, my.
Because Jesus said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6 of the Bible, he said, when you pray to the Father, the Heavenly Father. He didn't say pray to himself. What is this? What is good to the Muslim? The Muslims say worship God above, worship no one above God.
And you know what, brother Salim, when you're circumventing around, circling the Kaaba during Ramadan, what is the symbolization of them throwing pebbles? What is that? What does that mean?
That's only symbolic, my brother. It's only symbolic. You know, some people accuse us of being superstitious, throwing at the devil, doing the pilgrimage to Mecca. Brother, it's only symbolic. Everything is symbolic. What do you have during the story of the devil? You have 3 pillars.
Okay.
3 pillars. What do the pillars represent? The pillars represent the fertility God, the pagan fertility God. It's also 3, which represent the Trinity.
Okay.
So when the Muslims are stoning the devil, it's only symbolic. Is that there are what happened when? Let me illustrate a little bit further. What did David pick up when he killed Goliath?
Picked up a stone.
He picked up stones, didn't he?
Yes.
So when the Muslims stone the devil, it's only symbolic that we are fighting against or struggling against evil and wickedness. Goliath in the Bible represented tyranny,
yes,
aggression, hatred, evil, wickedness. And David picked up, what did it say? He picked up 5 stones, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm listening, yeah.
And he threw a stone and it hit Goliath in the forehead and killed him, and he cut his head off. Alright, so when the Muslims pick up the stones, it's symbolic of when David slew Goliath.
I understand.
We have Goliath in our nature that we need to conquer. We have a Goliath of greed, a Goliath of evil, a Goliath of hypocrisy. You understand? So it's only it's only a symbol.
Okay. And you know what, brother Salim? I guess I got plenty more questions. I guess we're gonna have to do another show. My other question to you is that Muslims say, which I'm a Muslim, that the shaitan during Ramadan is locked down. Can you explain and elaborate on that?
Repeat that question again.
You know, it is said that when Ramadan is here, that the shaitan or the devil is chained down and hell is locked up. Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's comes from a hadith of Prophet Muhammad.
Okay.
And I see some, hidden meaning in that also. We fast during the month of Ramadan and we are sincere about it. The Satan is locked down in us.
Yes.
There's a hell inside of the human being that if he's not careful, the Shaitan will take over his being and make him into a drug pusher, a gangbanger, a murderer, a thief, and all these other evils that human beings perpetuate in society. If he doesn't, lock down the devil within himself.
Going back to that question, would you say that the imam is incorrect when they say that the shaitan is locked down in hell?
Well, the only thing I'm saying, my brother, is there are a lot of things that Prophet Muhammad said that have to be understood.
Okay.
From an interpretive and sometimes an allegorical level. Some things the Prophet Muhammad, they think he meant literally, but he meant from a different angle.
Okay.
And we sometimes follow all of the interpretations from a literal basis, sometimes that can get us a little bit twisted.
I'm about to tell that to my imam then. I understand what you're saying.
You know, I mean, many different scholars have many different interpretations.
I understand what you're saying. And you know what? The other question that's really puzzling me. We have Taweed prayer. And what is Taweed prayer? And what is the symbolization of praying all throughout the night?
Well, you know, in Islam, there's a thing called itikaf. Itikaf is when you know, seclude yourself, you know, in the masjid, you know, for a period of time, you know, maybe, you know, a day, a couple of days or something like that. You know, you seclude yourself where basically, you know, it's just you and God, man. You know, you're trying to develop one's spiritual self. So the extra prayers during Ramadan, you know, is for, you know, to help in one's spiritual development. Because every time, we have to understand that every time we go into prayer, we're actually communicating with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not just a ritual.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when a Muslim want to talk to God, we don't have to go through a priest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to pick up the phone and talk to a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
We have, in Islam, we're taught that we have a direct line of communication with Allah, and there's two methods to do that. You can do that in the Salat worship, or prayer, 5 daily prayers, or you can just open up the Holy Quran.
Mm-hmm.
When you open up the Holy Quran, you're directly communicating with Almighty God, Allah, because those are the direct words of Allah throughout the Holy Quran.
Okay. I want to tell people out there, you know, no matter where you are, support your local masjid in Chicago. We got Masjid El Farouk at 89th and Stony Island. We got Masjid El Fatir where I go at 47th and Woodlawn in Wales. Manyun, I think it's on Calumet, and plus MCC Masjid on Elston Avenue. Support it. No matter what village you in, no matter what city, a village, a constant you live in, support your local masjid. My other question is, there is something called the Night of Power. It is the last 13 days. And can you explain to us what the Night of Power is? All of the nights are great and magnificent, but there's something special, I think, about the last 13 days. Can you explain that?
Well, the Night of Power is when, you know, a lot of Muslims like to gather at the masjid, because that is supposed to be the one special night in which the Holy Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. I'm told or have read that it's supposed to be an uneven number. Nobody knows what that number is but Allah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's certain divine secrets, you know, like, for example, the Day of Judgment, that only Allah knows that day. Jesus didn't know it, Prophet Muhammad didn't know it, Abraham didn't know it, nobody knows it, nobody can predict it. You know, because every time, you know, they have predicted it, you know, it never came to pass. You understand? Nobody knows that special night of Ramadan or the night of power, but Allah himself, because he is the one that revealed the book, the Holy Quran, to the Prophet Muhammad. But Muslims, you know, from all over, in cities all around the world, localities all around the world, you know, gather in the masjid on that particular day, hoping, you know, that they have come on that particular day that the Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. That's what it's all about.
May I ask you something? They give forgiveness, but I forgot for how many years. Do you concur with that? I disagree with that.
You disagree with what?
They get forgiveness, I think, for 72 years if they're there doing those prayers. I think 72 years. But Allah forgive me. Would you concur with that?
Well, you know, the forgiveness and the mercy of Allah is great, brother. You understand? And during the time of Ramadan, you know, is a special, month where the believers should seek Allah's forgiveness, because Allah is more, you know, open to the believer who fasts, you know, in his cause and in his honor. So, you know, I wouldn't doubt that that saying is true, my brother. You know, we're taught, when I first came to Islam, we were taught if you take one step toward Allah, it would take 7 towards you.
Yes. And you know, and you know what, after it's all over, what is the significance of the Eid? What is Eid, and what is it the significance of?
Well, the Eid means a holiday in the Arabic or Islamic terminology or language, you see. And you know, after the end of Ramadan is over with, the Muslims gather, you know, in all of the major cities, wherever Muslims are at, you know, and most of them come to one locale. Some are celebrating their own mosque. The end of Ramadan, where there's celebration, you know, there's food, you know, the Muslims get up that morning, you know, they put on very nice clothes, you know, perfume and cologne to smell good and everything. Some exchange gifts, you know, but all this is what you could call, and I hate to use this terminology, but the Eid, the Ramadan Eid is what you could call the Muslims' Christmas.
Okay. And you know what, Brother Salim, we're winding now. Please give us information. Tell us when the Haymakers come on again, about your organization, about the Truth Spitters, and about your organization, how people could join, and where they can buy your books at.
Well, anyone could contact me directly at the Flaming Crescent Society. That is P.O. Box 2076, Chicago, Illinois, 60690. They can email me at calic7@sbcglobal.net. I'll spell that out. That is KHALIQ, the number 7, at sbcglobal.net. They can contact me directly for any of the publications that I have authored, and also, again, our Truth Spitters podcast comes on every Saturday at 7 p.m. Chicago time.
Central Time, yes. Okay.
Central Time, 8 p.m. East Coast time, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. And the phone number there to call in the program with your comments or questions is 559-856-090. Website is Hey Neighbors, www.heyneighbors.com. Type in www.heyneighbors.com. That neighbors got a Z, not an S on the end.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the description in, you know what, when you write the description, I'm going to put those links in there because, you know what, people that watch that are engaged in my little platform, you know what, go over there. You know what, go over there on the internet.
We should support each other. I support you. You supported me whenever I've had the Malcolm X tribute. You have shown support. You come out and you show support. And that's what we should do as black people, man. You understand what I'm talking about? We don't have to be envious and jealous of each other. Allah says in the Quran, strive together as in a race doing all is good. Yeah. So we shouldn't be envious of our brother. We shouldn't be competing with our fellow brother or Muslim. No. You understand? We should lift each other up and encourage each other. Yeah. You know, toward what's all that's good, the Quran says.
And you know what? And I totally believe that, because you know what? Whatever Allah has for me, I'll get it. And whatever Allah doesn't want me to have, that's okay. It's like me, man. I shoot videos in Chicago. I can pass out 2,000 cars, but I'm only going to do what Allah wants me to have. But if Allah doesn't want me to have anything, that's okay. You know?
You know what, Brother Clifton, like I told you recently, my brother, you have a job to do on planet Earth, bro.
Yeah.
You have to do it whether it's if you're the last man on the planet.
Yeah.
You know, that's my philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I'm the last man on the planet, I'm going to fulfill a mission that Allah put me here for. And you know, the only reward that I ask for is when I lay down for the last time. You understand? I want Allah to be pleased with me, and
No.
But some people don't want to hear the truth. You know, some people are comfortable
Yes.
with the idea that they're going into the hell tribe because you got a lot of people walking around that have sold their soul to Satan.
Yeah.
So they don't want to hear nothing righteous. They don't want to hear nothing true, brother. But you can't allow that to deter you. And I'm not going to allow it to deter me. I don't give if I'll be the last man on the planet doing what I'm doing, saying what I'm saying. I don't understand that about me.
You know what, Brother Salim, and I'm going to share this with the audience. Somebody told me, I ain't going to say who it is. They said, man, don't nobody listen to Islam. You might have one person listening to you. That's a so what? Because you know what? If that one person, if it changed and transformed that person's life, I get a good deed. And you know what? That good deed may keep me from the hellfire.
What it's about, each one for each one.
Yeah, I'm not.
You never know the words that you may say and the impact that it may have upon others.
Yeah.
Allah put us on planet Earth, brother, for a purpose and a reason.
I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Each one of us have a job to do. When you think it's just to sit, lay back on the cut on the weekend, man, and kick back with a cow, sit back, watching basketball games every damn day. No. Just to be seeking females out, just, get off. No, Allah made us for a bigger purpose than that, man.
But you know what, though? You know what, Brother Salim, when they said that, I said to myself, they've made the junior their heaven. They want the pat on the back and the recognition and all, because you know what? In a day Yama Kiyama, that ain't gonna make no difference. And I laugh about it every time that person say that. You know what? Hell, man, ain't nobody looking at the Islamic shows. My numbers are small. But that's their right to say. I just laugh about it. Because you know what? Because I know in the end, somebody patting you on your back, shaking your hand. You know what? It's about what's pleasing to Allah. But brother, I got another question for you. And then I want to get some finishing statements from you. I would like to ask you again, please give a message to the Muslims that are being persecuted in China. The Palestinians are being persecuted, okay? In Turkey, some Muslims are being done wrong. Can you give a message of hope to them, brother? Because there are Muslims that are being prosecuted because of their love for Allah. Can you please? I'm asking.
Well, let me say to that, brother. The Muslims have to stand up for oppressed people. The Muslim, we have to come, if we are able to, we must come to the aid of our oppressed Muslim brothers and sisters, wherever they be, no matter what race or nationality, because Islam does not discriminate.
Yeah.
You understand? I support the cause of the Palestinians. I support the cause of the Muslims in, what is that?
China.
They've been persecuted in Somalia. Many different cultures of Muslims have been oppressed. I support all of our suppressed brothers and sisters. I would encourage, the Muslims all over the world to unite with one another, to help each other, to lift each other up, to defend each other, against this aggressive human-made system on planet Earth that hate people for no other reason that they call upon Almighty Allah.
Let me tell the enemy that's listening, he's not talking about being the aggressor. Because you know what, he is not talking about that. You have a right to defend. So, excuse me, go ahead, brother. Okay.
You have a right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
It's a sin for a Muslim to be in a position to defend himself and he not defend himself.
Yeah.
It's a sin for a Muslim man to allow Muslim women hijab to be snatched off, for our women to be attacked, for our children to be persecuted, for no other reason that they worship Allah, and the Muslims want to lay back in the cut and talk about, we'll call the police, we'll let the system deal with it. No, Allah in the Quran condemns
Yes.
So we're never supposed to be callous. So I would encourage Muslims all over the world to stand up for truth, stand up for justice, to stand up against oppression. Listen, the Quran is a book, that's against tyrants and dictators and oppressors. And one of the main reasons why they didn't want the Quran to be in the hand of the black slaves.
Yeah.
During the slave trade, when the white Christians kidnapped us, from Islamic countries and brought us over here, they didn't want the slaves to read the Quran because the Quran says fight against those who fight against you.
Yes, that's true. And Brother Salim, you know what? I have been asking you questions, and you know what? There may be something message that you want to communicate that I did not ask you, and I want to allow you that time to say that.
Well, the only thing I want to say in conclusion, my brother, I think, I don't want to wear people out, all night. But let me just say this in conclusion. I want people to understand, not just what Ramadan is about. I want people to understand what Muslims and true Islam is about. Purpose of my work, not just what Ramadan is about. I want to correct many of the falsehood and misunderstandings about Islam. But the most important thing that we should understand about being a Muslim is that if you're going to be a Muslim, you can't lie, you can't cheat, you can't steal, you can't commit adultery and fornication, you can't be a drug addict, you can't be an alcoholic, you can't eat swine, you can't backbite and gossip.
Yeah.
Own your brothers and your sisters. You have to live right. Look at Brother Malcolm. Let's look at Brother Malcolm's example, my brother. When Malcolm came out of the penitentiary into Islam, he hit the ground running and never looked back upon his criminal and sinful past.
Yes.
So Brother Malcolm is a prime example of what a righteous Muslim is. You have a lot of people attacking Muslims and hating on Islam, all throw Islam in the garbage can, leave that Islam alone. Islam is not our religion. You understand? We was worshiping the voodoo gods and the Egyptian gods and stuff like that in Africa. And this is what they're telling our people.
Yeah.
But Islam calls us to righteousness.
Yeah.
It calls us to good behavior. It calls us humanity to stand up for truth. Allah calls us to have a pure heart. This is what true Islam is about.
Yes.
And as I said earlier, Brother Clifton, that when I decided to convert to Islam, it's not what the brother said so much as what I saw him do. He lived Islam. So can nobody come to me and change my mind about being a Muslim? I know what true Islam is. I've seen what true Islam is all about. Yeah, it's not Islam. And let me conclude by saying this. They like to go, what about the Arab slave trade?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
What they throwing in our face? What about some Muslim women being oppressed in certain of these countries?
Yeah.
They like to always throw that at us in order to make us feel bad.
Yeah.
But again, Islam in the Quran tells us to help slaves get their liberation. Prophet Muhammad didn't make slaves. Prophet Muhammad freed slaves, if you know the real history.
Yes.
So anyway, you find Arabs enslaving people or moving in the black neighborhood and selling wine and
You know what? I'm sorry. I am concluding this broadcast about Islam. And inshallah, probably will have someone on named David Cost tonight. Okay. You want to sit down and look at a different religion. But to all the Muslims out there in China, United States, Canada, Mexico, Central America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, North Pole and South Pole, assalamu alaikum to everybody. And for people that are not Islamic, thank you. And I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you will just consider coming to Islam. I hope you consider it. It's my duty is to get dawah. Dawah means is to give the invitation to Islam. Whether there's one person looking, no people looking. If no people are looking, I did what was pleasing to Allah. And that's better than a pat on the back. You did a great job. Clapping for me. You know what? The greatest reward that I can get is Jannah in heaven. And the best thing and the greatest thing that I can do is do what's pleasing to Allah and not to myself. So, immediate gratification, that ain't gonna make no difference anyway. I'm talking about on the day of judgment. So it is time for me to make my salats. And I don't know, maybe Fajr where you are, maybe Asa, maybe Maghrib, maybe Isha, Zora. I don't know. But this is just not for Ramadan. Something that you can look at all year round. And I'm sorry about the distortion in the sound. And I say all praises due to Allah. So I did the best job that I could to disseminate information, and the things that I have said that is wrong comes from myself, and the things that are good and right comes from Allah. But like I said, I'm getting ready to bow down and make my salats. For people that don't know what salats are, that means I'm getting ready to make my prayers right now. So say assalamu alaikum to everybody. And Ramadan Mubarak. And y'all would have replied Ramadan Kareem. Okay, so assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi barakatuh. From the United States, Chicago, Illinois.